The clinic door slammed shut, rattling the glass in its frame as the scent of rain and pheromones flooded the room. Dr. Lena Harper, 32, barely looked up from her charts, but her pulse quickened. She knew that scent. Sharp and commanding, like cedar and storm. Cassandra Vale, the untouchable alpha CEO of Valetech, stood there, her tailored suit clinging to her frame, eyes burning with a need she'd never admit. Lena's heart stuttered, but she forced her voice to stay steady. "You're early this time. Vale. Heat not due for another week." She adjusted her glasses, a flimsy shield against the intensity of Cassandra's gaze. The alpha didn't answer immediately, just crossed the small, sterile room in 3 strides, her heels clicking like a metronome. Lena's Boston clinic, tucked in a quiet corner of Beacon Hill, was no place for someone like Cassandra, 38, powerful, and relentlessly private. Yet here she was, again, when her biology betrayed her. "I don't have time for games, Lena," Cassandra said, her voice low, almost a growl. "You know why I'm here." The air between them crackled, heavy with unspoken history. Lena was a beta, immune to the alpha-omega dynamics that drove so much of the world's chaos, but not to the pull of Cassandra's presence. She'd spent years building walls, professional, emotional, yet every time Cassandra walked in, they crumbled. The first time they met, 3 years ago, was a night like this: rain, desperation, and a medical emergency. Cassandra had stumbled into Lena's clinic during a heat, her usual composure shattered. Lena had been the only doctor available, the only one who didn't flinch at an alpha's raw power. She'd administered suppressants, kept her cool, and sent Cassandra on her way. But the CEO kept coming back, never for checkups, never for small talk, only when her body demanded it. Each visit chipped away at Lena's resolve, stirring feelings she swore she'd buried after her last heartbreak. Now, Cassandra leaned against the exam table, her knuckles white as she gripped its edge. "It's worse this time," she admitted, her voice softer, almost human. Lena's fingers paused on her pen. Alphas didn't confess weakness. Not like this. Something was wrong. "What's changed?" Lena asked, stepping closer, her stethoscope dangling forgotten around her neck. She could feel the heat radiating from Cassandra, could see the faint tremor in her hands. This wasn't just biology. There was something deeper, something Cassandra wasn't saying. "I don't know," Cassandra snapped, then caught herself. Her eyes, usually so sharp, flickered with uncertainty. "I just need you to fix it." Like always. But her tone lacked its usual command, and Lena's chest tightened. She wanted to push, to demand answers. But years of treating alphas had taught her to tread carefully. Cassandra was a fortress, and Lena was no siege engine. Instead, she nodded, pulling on gloves with a snap. "Lie back. Let's check your vitals." Routine was her refuge, a way to keep her hands busy and her mind from wandering to dangerous places, like the way Cassandra's breath hitched when Lena's fingers brushed her wrist. The clinic's fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, the only sound besides their breathing. Outside, Boston's evening traffic hummed, oblivious to the storm brewing in this small room. As Lena worked, her mind raced. She'd chosen this lifelong hours. Low pay, a beta doctor in a city obsessed with alpha-omega hierarchies because she wanted to help, to be useful. But Cassandra made her feel something else, something reckless. Every visit was a dance. Lena, the steady hand; Cassandra, the wildfire. And every time, Lena wondered if she was saving Cassandra or drowning in her. The monitor beeped, pulling Lena back. "Your heart rate's elevated, even for a heat," she said, frowning. "When did you last sleep?" Cassandra's silence was answer enough. Lena sighed, setting down her clipboard. "You can't keep doing this, pushing through like you're invincible. You're not." Cassandra's laugh was bitter. Tell that to my board of directors. Or the investors. Or the world. She sat up. Her movement sharp. Like a predator ready to bolt. You don't get it. Lena. I don't have the luxury of breaking. Lena's jaw tightened. She'd heard this before, Cassandra's mantra of control. Of being the untouchable alpha. But tonight, there was a crack in her armor. And Lena couldn't ignore it. Maybe you don't, she said quietly. But you're here. With me. That's something. Their eyes locked. And for a moment, the world shrank to just them. Lena's breath caught. Her professional mask slipping. She wanted to reach out. To bridge the gap. But fear held her back. Cassandra wasn't just an alpha. She was a storm. And Lena wasn't sure she could weather it. The door buzzer sounded. Shattering the moment. Another patient. Another crisis. Lena stepped back. Her hands shaking slightly as she adjusted her coat. I'll get your suppressants, she said. Her voice clipped. Stay here. As she moved to the supply closet, Lena's mind churned. Cassandra only came to her in moments of weakness. But those moments were becoming more frequent. Something was shifting. And Lena wasn't sure if it was Cassandra's walls coming down or her own heart breaking open. Either way, she knew one thing. This couldn't go on forever. Lena's hands trembled as she filled the syringe with suppressant. The amber liquid catching the clinic's harsh light. She could still feel Cassandra's gaze on her back. Heavy and unyielding. Like a weight she both craved and feared. The buzzer's echo lingered. A reminder of the world outside. But Lena's focus was trapped here. In this room. With this woman who unraveled her with every visit. She returned to Cassandra. Who hadn't moved from the exam table. Her posture rigid despite the faint sheen of sweat on her brow. This should stabilize you, Lena said. Her voice clinical. A shield against the chaos in her chest. She injected the suppressant. Her fingers steady despite the storm inside. Cassandra's breath hitched. But she didn't flinch. Alphas never did. Thank you, Cassandra murmured. Her voice softer than Lena expected. It was a crack in her usual steel. And it made Lena pause. She busied herself with the chart. Scribbling notes to avoid those piercing blue eyes. But Cassandra wasn't done. Why do you do this? She asked suddenly. This clinic. These hours. You could be anywhere. Lena. Why here? The question caught Lena off guard. She set down her pen. Her mind racing for an answer that didn't betray too much. Someone has to, she said finally. Her voice quiet. Not everyone can afford the fancy downtown hospitals. And betas. We don't get caught up in the alpha-omega drama. Makes us good at seeing clearly. Cassandra's lips twitched. Almost a smile. You think you see me clearly. There was no malice in her tone. Just a challenge. And Lena's stomach flipped. She wanted to say yes. To claim she understood the woman who ran a tech empire by day and unraveled in her clinic by night. But the truth was, Cassandra was a puzzle Lena couldn't solve. I see enough, Lena replied, meeting her gaze. Enough to know you're pushing yourself too hard. She hesitated, then added, and that you don't trust anyone else to see you like this. Cassandra's expression flickered surprise. Maybe. Or something deeper. She stood, smoothing her suit, reclaiming her armor. You're wrong, she said. But her voice lacked conviction. I trust you because you're good at your job. That's all. Lena wanted to argue, to push past the lie. But the buzzer sounded again. Insistent. She sighed, turning toward the door. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. It was a pointless instruction. Cassandra never stayed longer than necessary, but Lena said it anyway. A quiet plea. The next patient was a routine case. A beta with a sprained wrist. But Lena's mind was elsewhere. As she wrapped the bandage, she replayed Cassandra's words. Her tone. the way her hands had trembled. Something was different this time. And it wasn't just the heat. Lena had seen alphas in crisis before. But Cassandra's vulnerability felt personal, like a secret shared only with her. When she returned, Cassandra was pacing, her phone in hand, barking orders to someone on the other end. No, I don't care about the quarterly projections right now. Handle it. She hung up, tossing the phone onto the exam table with a clatter. Lena raised an eyebrow. Trouble at the top? She asked, leaning against the doorframe. Cassandra shot her a look. Half irritation, half exhaustion. Always. She ran a hand through her dark hair, a rare gesture of disarray. You ever feel like you're carrying the world, Lena? And one slip could bring it all down. Lena's chest tightened. She knew that feeling, not on Cassandra's scale, but in her own way. The clinic, her patients, the endless nights, they were her world, and she carried it alone. Yeah, she said softly, but I don't have a board of directors breathing down my neck. Cassandra laughed. A short, sharp sound. Lucky you. She stopped pacing, her eyes locking onto Lena's. You're the only one who doesn't ask me for anything. Did you know that? Lena blinked, unsure how to respond. I'm your doctor. It's my job to give, not take. Maybe, Cassandra said, stepping closer, her voice dropping. But it's more than that. You see me, Lena. Not the CEO. Not the alpha. Me. The words hung between them, heavy and dangerous. Lena's pulse raced, her professional boundaries blurring. She wanted to step back, to retreat to the safety of her role. But Cassandra's proximity held her in place. The air felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. I see a patient, Lena said, her voice barely above a whisper. One who needs to take better care of herself. Cassandra's lips curved, a hint of amusement. Always the doctor. But her eyes said something else, something Lena wasn't ready to face. Before she could respond, Cassandra grabbed her phone and headed for the door. I'll be back, she said, her tone casual, but her glance lingered. As the door closed, Lena sank into her chair, her heart pounding. She'd spent years keeping her feelings locked away, but Cassandra was a key she couldn't ignore. Each visit was a thread, weaving them closer, and Lena wasn't sure how long she could resist the pull. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving Boston's streets glistening under streetlights. Lena stared at the empty exam table, the ghost of Cassandra's presence still lingering. She didn't know what was coming, but she knew one thing: Cassandravale was a storm, and Lena was already caught in it. The next morning, Lena woke to the buzz of her phone. A text from an unknown number. Meeting at Valetech. 2 p.m. Be there. C. B. Her stomach dropped. Cassandra had never contacted her outside the clinic, let alone summoned her to her corporate empire. Lena stared at the message, her coffee growing cold. This wasn't about a heat. This was something else. She arrived at Valetech's glass tower in downtown Boston, feeling out of place in her worn coat among the suits and skyscrapers. The lobby was a cathedral of steel and marble, Cassandra's name etched into everything from the floor tiles to the receptionist's smile. Lena clutched her medical bag, a flimsy anchor in this alien world. Dr. Harper, a young assistant, Beta by her neutral scent, led Lena to an elevator that shot up to the 40th floor. The doors opened to a sleek office, all glass and sharp angles, with a view of the Charles River glittering below. Cassandra stood by the window, her back to Lena, her silhouette commanding even in stillness. You came, Cassandra said without turning, her voice carrying that familiar edge. I wasn't sure you would. You didn't give me much choice, Lena replied, setting her bag down. What's this about? You're not in heat. Cassandra turned, her blue eyes sharp but shadowed. I need your expertise. Not as a doctor. She gestured to a chair. And Lena sat. Wary. There's a situation. Complication. Lena's mind raced. Complications for someone like Cassandra could mean anything: corporate sabotage, health crises, or worse. I'm listening, she said, folding her arms. Cassandra hesitated. A rare crack in her armor. My company's developing a new suppressant. One that could stabilize alphas and omegas permanently. No cycles. No chaos. But it's not working. Test subjects are unstable. Her voice tightened. And I'm starting to feel it too. Lena's breath caught. Cassandra was admitting to more than a failed project. She was admitting to vulnerability. To being affected. You're taking it? Lena asked. Her voice sharp. Without telling me. I didn't think I needed to. Cassandra snapped. Then softened. You're not my keeper, Lena. But you're the only one I trust to figure this out. Lena's heart twisted. Trust. The word felt like a gift and a burden. She stood, pacing to the window, needing space from Cassandra's intensity. You're playing with fire. Experimental drugs. No oversight. You could have come to me first. I'm coming to you now, Cassandra said, stepping closer. I need you to look at the data. The trials. Tell me what's wrong. Lena turned. Their faces inches apart. The air between them hummed. A dangerous current. Why me? She asked. Her voice low. You have teams of scientists. Researchers. Why a beta doctor from Beacon Hill? Cassandra's gaze softened. Almost imperceptibly. Because you don't see me as a paycheck or a power grab. You see me. Lena's throat tightened. She wanted to argue. To keep the walls up. But Cassandra's words echoed her own thoughts from last night. She saw Cassandra the woman. Not the CEO. Not the alpha. And it terrified her. Fine. Lena said. Breaking eye contact. Show me the data. Cassandra nodded. Handing her a tablet filled with charts and medical reports. Lena scanned them. Her mind shifting into doctor mode. The numbers were grim: test subjects showing erratic vitals. Heightened aggression. Even organ stress. Whatever Vailtech was developing. It was dangerous. This is reckless, Lena said. Her voice steady despite her rising panic. These side effects could kill someone. You need to stop the trials. Cassandra's jaw tightened. I can't. The board's pushing for results. Investors are breathing down my neck. If I pull the plug, Vailtech could tank. And if you don't, people could die. Lena shot back. Including you. The silence that followed was heavy. Charged with unspoken truths. Cassandra's hand brushed Lena's as she took the tablet back. And the contact sent a jolt through her. I'm not dying, Cassandra said. But her voice lacked its usual steel. Not yet. Lena wanted to push. To demand Cassandra prioritize herself. But the weight of her own feelings held her back. She was a doctor. Not a savior. And Cassandra was a patient. Not. Whatever her heart kept whispering. I'll analyze the data, Lena said finally. But you need to be honest with me. No more secrets. Cassandra nodded. A rare concession. No more secrets. As Lena left the tower, the city's noise swallowed her thoughts. But one thing lingered. Cassandra's trust was a lifeline. And Lena wasn't sure she could hold on without falling. Back at the clinic, she dove into the data, her mind racing with formulas and risks. The suppressant was ambitious, but flawed. Its chemical structure destabilized alpha hormones, amplifying rather than suppressing them. Lena's fingers flew over her laptop, drafting notes. But her thoughts kept drifting to Cassandra's face. Her voice. That fleeting touch. By midnight, Lena had a theory. The drug's core compound was overloading the endocrine system, mimicking a perpetual heat. If Cassandra was taking it, she was a ticking time bomb. Lena's heart pounded as she typed a message. Stop taking the suppressant. Now. Call me. She hit send, praying Cassandra would listen. Lena's phone stayed silent, the screen dark as she sat in her dimly lit clinic, surrounded by empty coffee cups and scattered notes. It was past 1 a.m., and Cassandra hadn't responded to her warning. The data on Lena's laptop glared back at her, a maze of chemical compounds and failed trials. She rubbed her eyes, exhaustion battling worry. If Cassandra was still taking that suppressant, every hour was a risk. A sharp knock jolted her upright. She opened the door to find Cassandra, her face pale, her suit jacket unbuttoned, a stark contrast to her usual polish. You didn't answer, Lena said, her voice tight with relief and frustration. I was busy, Cassandra replied, stepping inside. Her scent was sharper tonight, edged with something unstable. Board meeting. They're pushing for a release date. She swayed slightly, catching herself on the doorframe. Lena's doctor instincts kicked in. Sit, she ordered, guiding Cassandra to the exam table. Her hands moved automatically, checking pulse, temperature, pupils. Cassandra's vitals were erratic, her skin too warm. You didn't stop the suppressant, did you? Cassandra's silence was answer enough. Lena's jaw clenched. You're gambling with your life. This drugit's not just failing. It's dangerous. Your body's fighting itself. I don't have a choice, Cassandra said, her voice low, strained. If I don't deliver, Vailtech is done. My legacy, my people gone. Her eyes met Lena's, raw and unguarded. I thought I could handle it. Lena's heart ached at the admission. She'd seen Cassandra as unbreakable, but now she saw the weight of her world shareholders, employees, expectations. You're not a machine, Lena said softly. You can't carry this alone. Cassandra's laugh was brittle. Alone's all I've got. She leaned back, closing her eyes. You don't know what it's like, Lena. Being an alpha, running a company, always being the one who can't break. Lena sat beside her, the exam table creaking under their combined weight. Maybe I don't, she said. But I know what it's like to care about someone who won't let anyone in. The words slipped out before she could stop them, heavy with truth. Cassandra's eyes opened, searching Lena's face. For a moment, neither spoke, the air thick with unspoken questions. Then Cassandra's hand found Lena's, her grip tentative but warm. You care, she said. Not a question but a realization. Lena's breath caught. She wanted to pull away, to retreat to the safety of her role. But Cassandra's touch anchored her. I'm your doctor, she said weakly. But the words felt hollow. You're more than that, Cassandra murmured, her thumb brushing Lena's knuckles. The contact sent a shiver through her, blurring the line between duty and desire. Lena's mind screamed to stop, to keep it professional. But her heart was louder. The moment shattered as Cassandra winced, clutching her side. Lena snapped back to doctor mode, her hands moving to check for pain. Where does it hurt? She asked, her voice steady despite her racing pulse. It's nothing, Cassandra said. But her grimace betrayed her. Lena's fingers pressed gently, finding tenderness near her abdomen. The suppressant side effects organ stress, just like the trial data warned. Lena's stomach dropped. You need a hospital, she said, standing. Now. No hospitals, Cassandra snapped, her alpha instincts flaring. They'll leak it to the press. My career's over if this gets out. Lena's frustration boiled over. Your career won't mean anything if you're dead. She grabbed her phone, ready to call for an ambulance. But Cassandra's hand stopped her. strong despite her pain. Please, Cassandra said, her voice breaking. Just you. I trust you. Those words again. Lena's resolve wavered, torn between protocol and the woman before her. Fine, she said, her voice tight. But you do exactly what I say. She grabbed her medical kit, pulling out equipment to stabilize Cassandra's vitals. As she worked, her mind raced, piecing together a plan. The suppressant had to be flushed from Cassandra's system, but that meant days of monitoring, maybe weeks. And it meant Lena would be by her side, closer than ever. Hours later, Cassandra was stable, resting on a cot in the clinic's back room. Lena sat nearby, her laptop open, refining her analysis of the suppressant's flaws. The drug was a failure, but Cassandra's determination to push it scared her. What was driving her so hard? Pride? Fear? Or something deeper? As dawn broke, Cassandra stirred, her voice soft. You didn't have to stay. Lena looked up, her eyes tired but warm. Yes, I did. She paused, then added, You're not alone, Cassandra. Not anymore. Cassandra's gaze held hers. A flicker of something new, hope. Maybe. Or trust. Lena didn't know what it meant, but she felt the shift. Like a tide turning. She was in deep, and there was no going back. The clinic's back room was a cocoon of quiet. The only sounds the soft beep of the monitor and Cassandra's steady breathing. Lena sat in a worn chair, her eyes heavy but fixed on her patient. Cassandra slept. Her face softened in a way Lena rarely saw, vulnerable, almost peaceful. The suppressant was out of her system, but the danger wasn't over. Lena's notes, scattered across the table, screamed the truth. Vailteca's drug was a disaster, and Cassandra was its biggest victim. By noon, Cassandra woke, her eyes clearer but still shadowed. You look like hell, she said, her voice hoarse but teasing. Lena managed a tired smile. Says the woman who almost collapsed on my floor. She handed Cassandra a glass of water, their fingers brushing. The contact lingered. A silent question neither was ready to answer. I need to get back to work, Cassandra said, sitting up. Her tone was all business, but her hands shook slightly, betraying her weakness. Not yet, Lena said firmly. You're not out of the woods. And we need to talk about that drug. She pulled up a chair, her laptop open to the trial data. It's not just failing, it's toxic. You can't keep pushing it. Cassandra's jaw tightened, her alpha instincts flaring. You don't understand the stakes. This could change everything. Alphas, omegas, the whole system. Freedom from biology. Lena leaned forward, her voice steady. At what cost? You saw the data. Organ failure. Psychosis. This isn't freedom. It's a death sentence. She paused, softening. And it's killing you. Cassandra looked away, her hands clenched. I thought I could control it. I always control everything. Her voice cracked. A rare admission. But I'm losing it. Lena. The company. My health. Myself. Lena's heart twisted. She'd seen Cassandra as a titan, but now she saw the woman beneath, scared, stretched thin, human. You don't have to do this alone, Lena said, her voice low. Let me help. Cassandra's eyes met hers, searching. Why do you care so much? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lena froze, her throat tight. The truth was there, clawing to get out, but fear held it back. Because you're my patient, she said, the words tasting like a lie. And I don't let my patients die. Cassandra's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. Liar, she murmured, but there was no venom in it. She reached out, her hand resting on Lena's arm, warm and steady. The touch was a spark, igniting something Lena had fought to suppress. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed a news alert. Vailtech under fire, suppressant trials linked to hospitalizations. Lena's stomach dropped. She showed Cassandra the screen, watching her face harden. They leaked it, Cassandra said, her voice cold. The board. They're trying to force my hand. Lena's mind raced. A leak this big could ruin Cassandra, Vailtech, everything. What are you going to do? She asked. Cassandra stood, her movements stiff but determined. I need to get to the office. Now. You're not strong enough, Lena protested. Standing too. You need rest. Monitoring. I need to fix this. Cassandra cut in, her eyes blazing. This is my company. My fight. She paused, softening. But I want you there. Not as my doctor. You. Lena's breath caught. The line between them was gone, erased by that single word. She nodded, grabbing her coat. Let's go. Vailtech. Chaos reigned. Assistants scurried. Phones rang. And the boardroom was a battlefield. Cassandra strode in, Lena at her side, and faced a dozen suits with hard eyes. The trial's stop now, Cassandra said, her voice cutting through the noise. We're pulling the drug. The room erupted. Voices shouting about profits, timelines, investors. Lena watched Cassandra weather it, her strength returning despite her fragility. But one voice rose above the rest, a board member, an older alpha, sneering. You're weak, Vail. This is why alphas shouldn't let emotions cloud their judgment. Cassandra's eyes flashed. But Lena stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. She's not weak. She's saving your company from a lawsuit that'd bury you. The room stilled. Eyes on Lena Beta. Unassuming, but unyielding. She felt Cassandra's gaze, warm with something like pride. The meeting ended with the trials suspended. But the damage was done. As they left, Cassandra grabbed Lena's hand, pulling her into an empty office. You didn't have to do that, she said, her voice low. Yes, I did, Lena replied, echoing her words from the clinic. Their hands stayed clasped, the world outside fading. For the first time, Lena didn't pull away. The office was a quiet island in Vailtech's storm, the city's skyline a silent witness through the glass walls. Cassandra's hand was still in Lena's, warm and grounding, but her eyes were turbulent, a mix of gratitude and something deeper. Lena's heart pounded, caught between fear and a reckless hope she couldn't name. You didn't just save my company back there, Cassandra said, her voice soft but intense. You saved me. She stepped closer, closing the small distance between them. The air felt electric, every breath a risk. Lena's throat tightened. I'm just doing my job, she said. But the words felt fragile, a thin defense against the truth. She wasn't just Cassandra's doctor anymore. Hadn't been for a while. The realization was terrifying, exhilarating. Cassandra's fingers tightened around hers. Stop hiding behind that, she said, her voice low, almost pleading. You're not just anything, Lena. You're, she faltered, an alpha at a loss for words. And Lena's heart skipped. The moment stretched, fragile and heavy. Lena wanted to speak, to say what she'd buried for years. But fear clawed at her. She'd loved before. A beta who'd left her for an omega, claiming she wasn't enough. Cassandra was different. But the risk was the same: heartbreak. Loss. A wound that might not heal. Before she could decide, Cassandra's phone buzzed, shattering the silence. She glanced at it, her face hardening. The press, she muttered, releasing Lena's hand. They're outside. They know about the trials. My health, everything. Lena's stomach dropped. How? She asked. though she already suspected. The board's leak had spread. A wildfire Cassandra couldn't outrun. Doesn't matter, Cassandra said, her voice steel again. I need to face them. She moved toward the door. But Lena grabbed her arm, surprising them both. Not alone, Lena said, her voice firm. You said you wanted me here. So I'm here. Cassandra's eyes softened. A flicker of vulnerability. Okay, she said. And they stepped into the elevator together, descending into the chaos. The lobby was a circus reporters. Cameras. Shouting questions about Vailteca's failed drug and Cassandra's health. Lena stayed close. Her presence a quiet anchor as Cassandra faced the storm. The trials are suspended, Cassandra said. Her voice steady despite the flashes. We're prioritizing safety. That's all you need to know. But the questions kept coming. Sharp and personal. MS. Vail. Are you unfit to lead? Is your condition affecting your judgment? Lena saw the strain in Cassandra's jaw, the way her hands clenched. Without thinking, she stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. MS. Vail is under medical care and fully capable. Back off. The crowd paused, surprised by the beta doctor's fire. Cassandra glanced at Lena, a mix of gratitude and amusement in her eyes. They pushed through the reporters, escaping to a waiting car. Inside, the silence was heavy, the city blurring past. You're full of surprises, Cassandra said, her voice warm. Thank you. Lena shrugged, her cheeks flushing. Someone had to shut them up. But her mind was elsewhere, replaying their moment in the office, the almost confession. She wanted to reach for Cassandra's hand again, to hold on. But the car stopped at her clinic, reality intruding. Come inside, Lena said, her voice soft. You need rest, and I need to monitor you. Cassandra hesitated, then nodded. Back in the clinic, Lena checked her vitals, her hands steady but her heart racing. Cassandra was stable. But the emotional toll was clear. Her shoulders slumped, her eyes distant. Lena sat beside her, breaking her own rules. Talk to me, she said. What's really going on? Cassandra exhaled, long and slow. I built Vailtec to prove I could alpha. Woman. It didn't matter. But it's never enough. The board. The world theory waiting for me to fail. She looked at Lena, raw and open. And then there's you. You make me want more. Lena's breath caught. More. She echoed, her voice barely audible. Cassandra leaned closer, her hand finding Lena's again. You make me feel human, Lena. Not just an alpha. Not just a CEO. And it scares the hell out of me. Lena's walls crumbled, her fear drowned by the truth in Cassandra's eyes. She leaned in, their foreheads touching, a silent promise. It scares me too, she whispered. But I'm here. The clinic was a sanctuary, its quiet walls shielding Lena and Cassandra from the world's chaos. Their foreheads still touched, breaths mingling, a fragile bridge between them. Lena's heart pounded, but for the first time, she didn't pull away. Cassandra's hand was warm in hers, a lifeline in the storm they'd both been fighting. I don't know how to do this, Cassandra admitted, her voice a whisper, raw with vulnerability. I've spent my life building walls, Lena. But you make me want to tear them down. Lena's chest ached, her own fears mirrored in Cassandra's words. She'd spent years guarding her heart, convinced she wasn't enough for someone like Cassandra, an alpha titan. But here, in this moment, none of that mattered. Then let's tear them down together, she said, her voice steady despite the tremble in her hands. Cassandra's eyes searched hers, a question unspoken. Then, slowly, she leaned in, and their lips met a soft, tentative kiss that deepened into something fierce, desperate. Lena's world tilted. Years of restraint unraveling in the warmth of Cassandra's touch. It wasn't just desire. It was trust. A promise neither had dared to make until now. They pulled apart. Breathless. The weight of the moment settling over them. Lena laughed softly. Nervous but alive. That was unexpected. Cassandra's smile was small but real. A crack in her armor. Good unexpected. I hope. She brushed a strand of hair from Lena's face. Her touch gentle. Reverent. Before Lena could answer, her phone buzzed a text from a colleague at the clinic. Board's calling an emergency meeting. They're pushing for Vale's resignation. Lena's stomach dropped. She showed Cassandra the message, watching her face harden. They think I'm weak, Cassandra said, standing, her alpha instincts flaring. They're wrong. Lena grabbed her hand, grounding her. You don't have to prove anything to them. You're stronger than they'll ever know. She paused, her voice softening. But you don't have to do this alone. Cassandra nodded, a flicker of hope in her eyes. They drove to Valetech, the city's lights blurring into streaks of gold. The boardroom was a battlefield. The same faces from before now openly hostile. The lead alpha, the one who'd sneered at Cassandra, stood at the head of the table. Your health is a liability, Vale, he said. Step down, or we'll force you out. Lena felt Cassandra tense beside her, but her voice was ice. You don't get to decide my worth, she said, her presence filling the room. I've carried this company through worse, and I'm not done. The room erupted, arguments flying, but Lena saw something new in Cassandra's resolve. Not just defiance. She wasn't fighting for power. She was fighting for herself. Lena stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. MS. Vale is under my care. She's stable, capable, and more committed than any of you. If you want Valetech to survive, you'll back her. The room stilled, her words a quiet thunder. The board hesitated, then relented, the meeting ending with Cassandra still in charge. As they left, her hand found Lena's. A silent thank you. Back at the clinic, they sat together, the weight of the day settling. I meant what I said, Cassandra murmured, her eyes on Lena. I want more. With you. Lena's heart swelled, fear and hope entwined. I want that too, she said, her voice steady. But it won't be easy. Your world. My world, they don't exactly align. Cassandra smiled, fierce and tender. Then we'll make our own world. They kissed again. Slower this time. A promise sealed in the quiet of the clinic. Months later, Valetech pivoted, abandoning the suppressant for safer projects. Cassandra leading with renewed purpose. Lena's clinic thrived, her work fueled by a love she'd never expected. They were an unlikely Pyra Beta doctor and an Alpha Sobut together. They were unstoppable. Boston streets still buzzed with rain and secrets. But for Lena and Cassandra, the storm had passed, leaving only the warmth of a new beginning. Their love wasn't perfect, but it was real. A testament to the courage it took to choose each other. In a world obsessed with labels Alpha, Beta, Omega, they found freedom in defying them, building a life where love, not biology, defined them. And in that, they found their strength.